Okay, for this project you need a piece of construction paper. You'll need 7 strips of paper in a different color, okay, not the same color. You need scissors, a ruler, and a pencil, okay? So make sure you have all of those supplies. Step 1, we are going to fold this like a book. We're gonna fold this up, fold it in half. I'm just lining this edge up here, and then once I do that, I hold that nice and tight. Fold my paper down. Okay, I have folded my paper like a book. It's opening this direction, so the fold is towards me. Step 2, on the open side, I'm gonna take my ruler, and I'm actually gonna put that all the way up to the edge of my paper, so it's nice and flush with the edge of my paper, which it's hard for me to see here. And then I'm gonna draw a line with my pencil. I'm actually gonna use a marker so you can see it on the video, but you just wanna use your pencil to draw a line all in here, okay? You only need to do this on one side, and this side will actually bear back, so go ahead and put your name on there, because this will be the back when we're done anyway. All right, so we've folded it in half. We've drawn a line at the top. This is an important line because it tells us to stop cutting. We're gonna be cutting up from the fold up to that line. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna just look for the middle. If you wanna measure and find the middle with your ruler, you can. I'm just gonna eyeball it here. So I'm gonna think, okay, that looks like about the middle, and I'm gonna make a little line with my pencil. You're using a pencil right there, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing now down below, what I think is about halfway, and I'm gonna make a little mark there. All right, next up, halfway between the halfway mark and the edge, another line there, or a little mark there, at the top and bottom. Then I'm gonna do the same thing over here, halfway-ish. Remember, we're not worrying about making it perfect. Halfway-ish here. And we're gonna do that again. So now between each of these lines, I'm gonna make one more between these, halfway, halfway. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Halfway, halfway. All right, so these lines are where I'm gonna cut, but I wanna actually kind of draw a line here to help me. So I'm gonna connect this line to this line. You can do this with a ruler and use straight lines. Totally fine. If you want to use straight lines, you're gonna just make a line with your ruler, move it over, make a line with your ruler, or the other option is to use wavy lines. So then you're just gonna connect them like that. Either way, I probably wouldn't use a mix of wavy and straight because this is probably gonna look really crazy if I do. Here is an example of a wavy one. So in this weaving example, I have used wavy lines, okay? So, the wavy lines look pretty cool because it looks kind of like an optical illusion or something. So I guess I'm gonna go with wavy lines on this example. So I'm just gonna take them all down, and I'm gonna go over the straight line to make this a wavy line. Okay, now it's important before I cut it that I double check that my open side is up here because I wanna actually start by cutting my fold so that I'm cutting both halves at the same time, and I'm gonna stop when I hit this line. Okay, so that's important. So I'm just kind of following my wavy line. I'm not worried about those extra lines that are on there because remember, this is the back. Stop when I hit that horizontal line, okay? I'm just tracing my vertical lines. With my scissors in, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is the back, right? So take your time though. I know I'm doing it kind of fast because I'm on the video, but take your time with this part. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pause this so I don't have to feel rushed. Okay, I have cut all of my wavy lines stopping at this point. Okay, it's important, again, to stop there. So when I open it up now, it is cut on both sides. I mean, it's cut all the way except it stops an inch in on both sides, or the width of the ruler on both sides, okay? Now, I'm gonna flip it over because like I told you before, that's the back, and I'm gonna try to like train this fold here so that it wants to sit flat again. As flat as possible. Okay, next step, you no longer need your ruler, okay? Just so you know, you no longer need your ruler, but you do need your scissors, and you need these strips of paper that you picked out that are a different color. These are too wide for our weaving, and I didn't want to make you measure them because our rulers are kind of a mess. So I cut them as small as my cutting board can cut, and you are gonna then cut them in half. And they don't have to be perfectly straight, okay? What I do when I do a cut like this is I'm looking kind of slightly ahead of my scissors as I'm cutting and just trying to keep it in the middle. And they're not gonna be perfect, and that's okay. And so I'm making little cuts as I'm moving up to trying with my eyes to keep it track of where that middle, if there was a line drawn here in the middle, where would that be? And following that down. Okay, do this part nice and slow so that you end up with 14 of them. You'll probably really need 13, but we want to take our time cutting all 7 of these in half, nice and straight. Okay, I have cut all of mine in half, took my time, so they're, fairly straight. They're not perfect, that's okay. And now I can begin actually weaving. And this is great practice for us if we get a chance to do yarn weaving and actually make little, I was thinking we could make like phone cases later with yarn, something like that. We'll see if we have time. But this is a great way to learn how to weave before we get into yarn. So when you weave something, you just go over, under, over, under, over, under, all the way across. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you start with over or under, but I guess I'm gonna start with under because I picked that one up. Go over the next one. I need to go under this one. Over, under, over, under, over. Now what I'm gonna do when I get to the end is try to line this end up with this end and scoot it down to the bottom. So now and kind of see if it's somewhat straight across. There we go. For the next one, it's a little bit long. I am gonna go opposite. Okay, that's important. If I keep them all the same, it's not a weaving and they'll fall out later. I gotta go the opposite. So for this one, I started under. This time I'm gonna start over. And I'm gonna go under this one. I went over, now I'm gonna go under. So I'm going opposite of the row below it. So I was under, now I'm over. I was over, now I'm under. So it's the same thing over, under. You just start opposite of the row below it. Okay, and I'm gonna scoot that down and try to line the sides up here. One more time, and then we'll pause the video here. So I'm gonna go, I started this one over, I'm gonna go under, and go under, over, all the way across. Now weaving, I have found, is super relaxing once you kind of get the hang of it. So just take a minute to get it working for you, and then take your time, straighten them up as you go. And you're gonna weave all the way across until you're done. I'm gonna skip to the very last step here. Pretend that I just weaved this one, which I did do in the exact same process. These are the white ones are the ones I weaved in. And there is a sort of last step here. So I've put all of these in. You can when you're totally done, it's a good time to like double check that everything looks even and straight in the way that you want it to look, and that your ends are fairly lined up with the end of the paper. Because now we actually glue it. So we went through a lot of glue sticks. We're gonna have to use regular glue, so we're just gonna use one little drop of glue. You're gonna pick up your little end here, put a drop of glue, put it down. And you know what we should do? We should probably have some sort of scrap paper underneath us while we do this. So let me show you. Okay, I've got some scrap paper, just put it underneath there. And I got a bottle of glue. So I'm just going to put one little drop of glue there. Whoops, a little more than I wanted. Press it down, and that's why I have the scrap paper, because I just want a small dot, one little small dot. And so you just do that all the way down the sides for the end, but you're actually gonna, you're actually going to do that for both sides. So once you get one side done, well, I guess there's 4 sides, because once we do this one, we can turn it this way and do this one. Then flip it over and do both of these. And once you have all 4 of those sides glued down, it will be nice and strong and complete.